Well, here we are, Jonathan. To be honest, since Ernie and the other men left for the war, it's all got a bit neglected.
I can see that.
Actually, since your mother died last month, I haven't felt much like coming in here at all. Do you think we could put it right? What would it take to get the business up and running again?
Yeah. Some of these machines would take a lot of work to be up and running.
Well, that one, yes, but most of the others were working up to the time when the men joined the colours, only 2 or 3 years ago.
Working, maybe. But I can remember a lot of them needing attention and repairs before I went away to the war. Standing idle all this time can't have done them any good.
Oh, I suppose you're right, son. But these are good machines. They've got years of work left in them. Surely all they need is a bit of grease and a few new needles.
What about the trade? We were struggling to compete with the Two Steeples hosiery factory before the war. 3 or 4 years of closure and the little trade we did have will be gone.
Can't we get it back? Surely people will always want quality products like ours. We could reopen the shop. Selling directly to the public is one advantage we've got over the big boys.
I don't know. Times are hard. Money is short, and so for that matter is the supply of yarn and men.
But when men start coming back from the war, they're going to need work.
Ernie Seaton isn't coming back. And plenty of others too. We can't take on just anybody. No one knows better than you how long it takes to train a knitter.
And there's nobody better than you to train them.
Not with my leg the way it is. You need both feet to operate a knitting machine, and my right leg will never be the same again. I don't know. Maybe I'll be better off taking a job as a mechanic at the Two Steeples factory. At least the war left me with 2 working arms and hands.
There'll always be a job for you here, son. Bad leg and all. I can't understand why you'd want to go to one of those factories when you could be here running your own business.
I'm unsure. I'll think on it. Maybe talk to Martha about it.
Martha? You can't rely on advice from your wife. What would she know about business?
Not about business, true enough. But I'll talk to her nonetheless. Come on now. Surely tea must be ready.
Maybe.
Bring us some of that tea through, will you please? And some cake like we had yesterday.
Oh, no cake, I'm afraid. We ate the last of it yesterday.
And you haven't made any more? Honestly, what do you do all day?
Well, just bring us the tea through then, please.
Does he always speak to you like that?
Like what?
He treats you like a servant. What does he think you do all day?
He has no idea what I do all day. Men don't.
Well, I wouldn't let anyone treat me like that.
Don't be silly, Emily. I'm his wife.
I mean Mr. Hopgood Sr., his father. Who does he think he is?
He's my father-in-law, and what's more, this is his house we're living in, so he can do or say as he likes. Besides, it's been just over a month since his wife passed away with the flu. He's found it difficult to come to terms with it.
That is no excuse for the way he speaks to you.
You silly young girls. You think you're going to change the world, but you just wait until you're married. You'll see things differently then.
I'm not interested in marriage, and I'm not a silly young girl. I was only in the year below you at school, don't forget. Anyway, who says we can't change the world? It's already changing. It's already changed. Haven't you noticed?
I haven't got time to notice. Now, get out of my way and let me take in their tea before they start complaining.
I suppose the paper's still full of news of the armistice.
Pretty much. Apparently there were great celebrations in the streets of the city again last night. Torch-lit processions, bands, firemen standing on decorated firefighting appliances. Even a bonfire on the Welford Road recreation ground. I'd have liked to see it.
Yes. I'd have never made it all the way on foot, not with my leg the way it is. To be honest, I just want to forget about the war.
It's going to take a lot to get things back to the way they were. Still, at least the first wartime restriction's been lifted already. At last we'll be able to see where we're going at night. Apparently they had every light in the town hall building lit last night and all the blinds up. Quite a sight.
I suppose there was a lot of drunkenness and brawling.
Apparently not. It's noted here that the high spirits didn't boil over into disorderly orgies.
Yeah, thank goodness for that.
It's not so easy to get a drink these days, and what there is isn't worth having, apparently.
No, times like this, it's worth being a Methodist.
Although one young person did make a nuisance of himself with a firework.
A nuisance of himself? What did he do?
It doesn't say. Probably just as well.
Is there any serious news, Father?
Indeed there is. They say Parliament is to be prorogued next week.
What does that mean?
It means there's to be a general election very soon.
Will that mean things will change very much?
Maybe. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, I shall vote for the Conservatives, of course, as I always have done. Bonar Law gets my vote, and he's pledged to support Lloyd George and the coalition.
I dare say I shall do the same.
Emily says some women will be allowed to vote this time.
I hope you're not thinking of doing so. I'm sure you've got plenty of other things to be getting on with.
I know nothing about voting and politics.
Quite. Apparently the money markets are operating normally again. Yesterday's paper said they were in temporary disarray.
Does that mean they got their apples mixed up with their pears?
What are you blabbing on about?
He means the money market stuff. The stock exchange.
Well, it was only a joke, but then I wouldn't know anything about things like that.
Exactly. And that's exactly why you shouldn't be thinking about voting. Women voting. Whatever next.
I'm sure I don't know. I know nothing, me.
I think you've upset her, Father.
Oh, she'll get over it.
Have you heard the news? The date of the election's been announced.
Of course, it's on the front page of the newspaper. I can't see why it should be of any interest to you.
The first election where women can vote. Of course I'm excited. We've been waiting years for this.
But you won't be able to vote, Emily. You're too young.
I know, and I'm so frustrated about that. But Martha, you'll be able to vote. Aren't you excited?
Well, no, not really. I don't know anything about politics.
No, of course she doesn't. And she won't be wasting her time going to any polling station either.
Mr. Hopgood, why ever not?
Women can't be trusted to vote. They're too ignorant of politics to use their vote properly.
Use their vote properly? What do you mean by that?
Well, what if they voted differently to their husbands? What then, eh? It could destroy the harmony of the home.
Father believes that a woman's place is in the home, not in the world of politics.
And is that what you believe, Jonathan?
I think times are changing.
When is the election going to be, anyway?
December 14th. But they say they aren't going to be counting the votes or announcing the results until 28th of December because of all the men who are still abroad. It's all here in the paper. Haven't you read it?
Look here, young woman. I'll thank you not to go snatching my newspaper in my house. Martha's not interested in newspapers or politics. All this business of giving women votes is a lot of nonsense.
Women have earned the right to vote, Mr. Hopgood. They've kept the country going during the war with the men away at the front.
She's right, you know, Father. It'll be difficult to keep them in the kitchen from now on.
Martha would do better concentrating on her own responsibilities. It's about time she gave me a grandson. I agree with what Maudsley said all those years ago. If women use their brains too much, their wombs will wither.
Oh, Martha, are you alright?
No, not really.
What is it? Is it because of what they said about us voting?
No, I don't care about that. It's about what John's father said about grandchildren. John and me have been trying for a baby and we've had no luck. Now you can see John's father blames me.
Why?
He thinks it's my fault. I've been thinking too much.
Martha, how can you think that? That's just a load of nonsense put about by ignorant people.
Mr. Hopgood's not ignorant though. He's clever. He knows a lot of things and he thinks it's all my fault.
Clever people can be ignorant too, especially about certain subjects. Ignore them. But You are going to vote, aren't you? Oh, Martha, you must.
Emily, I wouldn't know where to start with all that.
Well, then I'll show you. You can't waste this chance. After all the suffragettes and the suffragists have been through, and it can't all be thrown away. And I'm mad as hell that I can't vote. If they just waited a couple more months, I'd be eligible. Can you imagine how annoying that is?
Well then, you'll be able to vote next year. Can't you just wait until then?
Don't be silly, Martha. There won't be another general election for years. Not unless something extraordinary happens. It doesn't work like that.
Well, there you are then. It just shows how little I know. Father's right. There's no place for me in the world of politics.
But we are in the world of politics, Martha. Politics involves everything we do. It's about the food in the shops, the clothes on your back, what happens to me in the factory, everything. And we deserve to have our say.
I just wish you could have my vote. It'd be better for you to vote than me.
You know I'm not allowed to take your vote, and I wouldn't want to. Look, I'll find out who the local candidates are going to be, and I'll come and talk to you about them and what they say they're going to do, and you can make up your own mind.
I'm sure it'll all be over my head, but if it makes you happy.
It'll make you happy too, Martha. It'll give you a bit of self-respect, instead of just thinking of yourself as an ignorant drudge. I've got to go. My shift starts soon. Bye. Martha, I've got something really exciting to tell you.
What's that then?
There's a meeting tonight. We must go to it.
What?
It's a special meeting just for us.
What do you mean?
For women voters.
But we're not voters.
You are. Oh, Martha, we must go and hear what she has to say.
Who? Look, I've got laundry to do.
This is more important. Mrs. Percy Harris is going to give an address especially for women voters.
Who's she? I've never heard of her.
She's the wife of Mr. Percy Harris. He's one of the men standing for Parliament in the Harbour Division.
Harbour?
Yeah. Wigston's in the same division. He's one of the men you could vote for.
But I'm not going to vote, and I've never even heard of Percy Harris.
Oh, Martha, please just come to the meeting. You'll learn so much, and it might make you change your mind.
But what would I tell John and Father? I'm sure they wouldn't agree to me going to something like that.
Don't tell them anything, then.
Will it be like your suffragist meetings you used to tell me about? People shouting and throwing things?
No, it's just a meeting so that Mrs. Harris can tell us what her husband stands for.
I'm not interested in what he stands for. I probably won't understand what she's talking about half the time anyway.
Oh, Martha, please, just come. Even if just to support me as your friend. I don't want to go on my own.
Help me tie this, would you, love? I've got a meeting with the works manager at Two Steeples this morning.
I want to go out myself tonight. Emily needs some help with,
What?
She wants me to go to a meeting with her.
A meeting?
It's some women's meeting. I don't know what it's about.
Mrs. Percy Harris is speaking in support of her husband.
And you're interested in that?
Not really, but Emily doesn't want to go on her own.
Let her come, John.
Well, it'd be silly to let Emily wander around town at night on her own. Maybe I should come with you.
No, John! I mean, it's a meeting for women only.
Full of suffragettes rioting, is it?
No, of course not. We just want to hear about her husband's plans.
As long as you're back early.
I will, John. And good luck at Two Steeples.
Thanks, love. Oh, and best not mention this to Father. Make something up if you have to.
Ladies, with so many men voters away, we women have practically the makings of England in our hands. The world is in turmoil, and women must see to it that our England is put in order without the horrors of revolution like they have had in Russia. We women can bring purity into political life.
What does she mean by that?
I really hope that you will not be apathetic when it comes to voting. And if you want any practical help on what to do, I am here to answer your questions.
But can you tell us why we should be voting for your husband, Mrs. Harris, please?
I was just coming to that, yes, of course. My husband, Mr. Percy Harris, is prepared wholeheartedly to support the coalition government as the right and proper authority for negotiating peace terms.
I don't understand. I thought the war was over.
Yes, but she means the official peace treaty. They haven't done that yet.
But when the question of reconstruction comes forward, however, involving as it will matters of principle, he reserves the right to vote in accordance with his conscience. But ladies, we must play our part in the national housekeeping. The New England must have better health, better housing and better conditions for life altogether. And the only way that we can ensure that is to have the right men, such as Mr. Harris, in government.
Can I ask a question, please, Mrs. Harris?
By all means, my dear.
Why aren't you standing for Parliament yourself? Do I understand it? Women can put themselves up to be members of Parliament now.
Well, I could hardly stand against my husband, could I? Besides, I believe in putting one thing right before moving on to another. Let us get women exercising their vote in as large a number as possible, and then we can start thinking about being members of Parliament.
Sit down. Everyone's looking at you.
Now, any more questions? Or shall we have some tea?
What are you doing, love? You all right?
No, not really. I just don't know what to do.
What's the matter?
Emily said the Prime Minister gave an important speech yesterday. It says all about it here in the paper. She read it out to me.
What does it say? It seems it's got you really worried.
I can't read it. The print's so small.
It's not that small. Let's have a look. Ah, another one of those women's meetings. Like the one you went to, I suppose. It says that without women we could never have won the war.
Is that true, John?
Well, I reckon he's got a point. You did your bit, didn't you? Knitting socks for the soldiers on the Griswold. What's got you so worried, though?
Read what he says about us voting.
Women must vote. In conclusion, he said there was nothing more disastrous than not to vote at all. It was worse than giving a wrong vote. By voting, women would be raising themselves in the social standard and exercising responsibility hitherto denied them. Do you want to vote? Is that it?
I don't know what to do. He makes it sound as if we'd be letting everyone down if we didn't vote. And he is the Prime Minister. Well, he should know, I suppose, but I don't know who to vote for, and...
And what? What's the matter?
Will it stop us from having a baby?
Eh?
Your father, the other week, said if women use their brains too much, their wombs will wither.
Oh, love, is that what's got you worried? Nobody thinks like that anymore. Nobody with any sense, anyway.
You think father has no sense?
I think his ideas are out of date. Look what he says about opening up the workshops again. He's way behind the times.
Maybe, but what are we going to do for money? Oh, after you were turned down for the job at Two Steeples, I don't know what we're going to do next.
Well, there are other factories. And if they don't want me, well, something will turn up. I was thinking about opening up Father's old shop again. Get some money rolling in. But listen, the election is tomorrow. Are you going to vote or not?
Do you think I should? Would you mind?
Look, don't let Emily bully you into voting if you don't want to. Nor Lloyd George, for that matter. If you want to vote, love, then do so. I won't stop you. But if you do, then you need to look over the candidates and see what they have to say.
I can't read the paper, John. I can read simple things like shopping lists, but not that. I was never much good at school. Oh, I must be really stupid.
You're the cleverest woman I know.
No! Emily's much cleverer than me. It should be her voting tomorrow.
But it's not, Martha. It's you. You are going to vote, aren't you?
By God, that Sir Keith talks some sense. certainly gets my vote. Not that that was ever in doubt.
What did he have to say then?
Well, he's 100% behind the coalition. It's the only way this country can hope to face up to the arduous tasks of reconstruction ahead.
Mr. Harris supports the coalition too.
Harris? The man's a disgrace. He claims to support the coalition, and yet 40 times in the last Parliament he voted against the government. 40 times! Plenty of other times when he didn't vote at all.
His wife says he votes according to his principles.
His wife? What would she know? And what sort of a politician has to have a woman telling people what he stands for? I tell you, the man's a disgrace. More Asquithian than Asquith. And what about his latest proclamation?
What's that?
Well, apparently in a meeting in Kibworth last Saturday, he stated that if he doesn't get in as a Liberal MP, he'll stand again at the next election as a Labour candidate.
Really? Why?
Well, it turns out he absolutely agrees with the Labour programme. What about that, eh? Quite apart from the fact that MacDonald's so-called programme is all pie in the sky, he claims to support it while simultaneously standing as a Liberal candidate against the Labour man. What do you make of that, eh?
Well, I can't make head nor tail of it.
No reason why you should, Martha. It's nothing to do with you. What are you all doing, anyway?
We've been discussing the candidates to help Martha understand.
What?
Martha's deciding who she wants to vote for tomorrow.
Surely you won't allow it.
She has a legal right to, Father, if she wants to.
The Prime Minister says women must vote.
It'll be a disaster.
Lloyd George says it will be a disaster if they don't. Look, it's all here in the paper. You say you're 100% behind him, so shouldn't you be thinking that too?
Don't you get smart with me, young lady. This is my house and you need to watch your tongue.
He says other things too, Mr. Hopgood. If they, women, pressed forward, they would receive full equal rights with men. Women must demand equality with men. In labour conditions, equal pay for equal work, and equality in the marriage laws. He knew of no reason why women should not be solicitors and barristers, but women must vote.
Never. Never in my lifetime. Nor yours!
I tell you what, Father. If the Prime Minister can say such things, then we must be living in a different world.
Well, if you're going to vote, it'd better be for Fraser. If I find out you voted for that Harris or Baker...
But you won't find out, Mr. Hopgood. It's a secret ballot, after all. Martha can vote for who she likes.
Get out! Get out of my house now, you insolent chit!
It's coming, Mr. Hopgood. Our time's coming, and there's nothing you can do about it. Well, have you voted?
She has.
And what was it like? How do you feel?
I feel, I don't know, normal.
Normal? You've just made history!
All I did was put a mark on a piece of paper. But there were lots of us, Emily. Lots of us voting.
Martha, how exciting! Who did you vote for? No, don't tell me. It's a secret vote. Oh, I can't bear that we have to wait until after Christmas to find out the result.
Well, we've all got to wait, I'm afraid.
Come on, calm down and come home with us. I'll put the kettle on.
Martha, are you in? Where are you?
Through here, in the shop. Cleaning up the old shop and getting it ready.
Ready for what?
Jonathan's decided to reopen Father's old shop in the new year.
Well, the hosiery shop. But you don't have any hosiery to sell. And I thought Jonathan wanted a job as a knitter's machine mechanic.
Well, yes, he does. He did. But as he hasn't found anything recently, he's decided to try something different. And I'm going to help. We may not have hosiery to sell, but we can sell other things. We'll start small, just selling bits and pieces, tin stuff, sugar, tea, just to save people going in and out of town all the time.
A grocery shop?
Sort of, but like I say, we'll start small and see how it goes.
We? You mean you're going to work here too?
Yes, Jonathan talked me into it. I didn't think I'd be much use, but he really wants me to have a go.
Hello, Emily. How are you? How's your mother?
Fine, thanks. I hear you're opening a grocery shop.
We are. I still haven't found a job yet, so it'll bring some money in, hopefully.
And Martha's going to be working here too?
Yes. She is. Well, I thought she should be doing something more than washing and cleaning now she's a responsible member of the electorate. She was going to have a go at being a solicitor, but we thought she ought to try this first.
Jonathan's going to help me get better at reading, and I might even join an evening class.
What does your father say, John?
Well, he's not thrilled about it, but at least he's no longer trying to actively stop it. And since Sir Keith Fraser had an overwhelming victory in the election, well, he's a little bit easier to live with.
Yes, a big endorsement for the coalition. A landslide for Lloyd George. So, Martha, who did you vote for in the end?
Now, Emily, you know better than to ask me that. You said yourself, it's a secret ballot.